Southern Boys, a true story by Rick Harper. The names and details of the boys involved have been altered to protect their identity. 4 months into my first venture as a leader, an event took place that will forever impact my life. I had taken a position as a youth minister at a country church in East Tennessee. My goal was to lead the children in that congregation towards a better tomorrow. I did not know how I was going to accomplish this, but I knew that crucial moments would arise, and in those moments, I must not cower or falter. It was May 5th, 2006. I had invited the young men in my congregation to spend the night at my quarters on the church grounds. As with any large group of boys, there were many personalities and temperaments, and in this case, hot blood and southern testosterone. I was 18 years old, a thin 6'4", a cheap suit, haircut with no more than 5 months seniority on the oldest boy there. But I was their chosen leader. I had been chosen by their pastor, not by them, and they didn't trust me yet. They liked me, but I hadn't earned their confidence. That night, I would. Our evening began with cheap pizza and cheaper soda. I had very little money, but I did what I could to please their ravenous appetites. After dinner, as the sun began to fade, we gathered in old Uncle Noah's Sunday school classroom. I leaned back in my chair and listened to them banter back and forth about trucks, girls, and how much cooler they would be in 5 years. The sun set, and we went outside for some fresh air. One boy, Tyler, a scruffy-voiced, well-built 16-year-old, easily the biggest boy in the group, suggested a wrestling match. The contest began with great fervor as one by one the boys matched strength, courage, and occasional wit in an attempt to defeat their temporary foe. Tyler won handily, but everyone enjoyed the sport. An hour passed, and they lay sprawled on the ground, breathing heavily, covered in sweat, battle wounds, and grins. As I rested on my elbows and stared at the sky, the youngest and best-fed one in the bunch decided to poke fun at Tyler. Willie, in his great wisdom, had chosen to make some slight about Tyler's latest love interest. Unfortunately, Tyler was a true southern-bred hothead. His warning was issued, but as I expected, Willie, with his mischievous grin, continued to poke fun, directly landing blows on Tyler's pride. By now, I issued a warning of my own to Willie, and he responded with a soft, "Yes, Brother Rick." After a temporary ceasefire, Willie started up again, and now all the boys were up on their feet. I began walking in from the outskirts of the group, just as Tyler reached Willie, and hit him on the right side of his head. I reached both hands out, picked up Tyler beneath the armpits, and tossed him to the ground before he could strike his overmatched opponent again. His blood boiled. He jumped to his feet and glared at me as he absorbed the shock of losing his alpha male status among the group. I now had his full attention, and he began to express his desire to strike me as well. As I kept eye contact with him, I quietly dismissed the boys and instructed them to relocate to anywhere but there. They moved out of earshot as Tyler and I studied each other. He said, "Brother Rick, I hate you. I hate this church. I hate you, and I hate everything about this place. If you weren't no man of God, I'd hate you just like I done hit Willie." I replied, "Tyler, I don't buy it. This church has never been anything but good for you and your family. These people love you. I love you, and God loves you. I'm just not buying it, kid." "Brother Rick," he sneered, "you can go to hell. You don't know me, and if I weren't on church property and you weren't a man of God, I'd hit you. I'd hit you real good." "Okay," I calmly replied. "I'll tell you what, if I walk to the street and you can forget that I'm a preacher, I'll let you take your shot. I won't hit back. You can let me have it. If you really think that hitting me will solve this for you, I'll let you." His face was flushed and angry, but now his eyes were slightly puzzled. He nodded in agreement, though. As I calmly strode up the hill, he followed behind with clenched fist, his eyes to the ground. The other boys saw us taking that long walk and were now extremely curious. We reached a quiet street and squared off. The rest of the group soon arrived and formed a circle around us, unsure of what was going on. I spoke firmly. "Take your shot." Tyler stood, body stiff and eyes moist, blazing. He looked at me. With one quick motion, he leapt forward and cocked his right arm back. Just as he was about to strike my face, a thin, timid boy of 15 named Percy appeared between us and caught his arm. "You hit Brother Rick, you had to hit me," he said. "Me too. If you hit him, you gotta hit me. Another boy stepped between us. Yeah, Tyler, you hit him, you have to hit me. One more young man stepped forward, forming a line between us. With each boy that joined, the line of bodies grew as Tyler was pushed farther and farther away, until every boy had taken their place defending their new leader. Tyler squatted on the ground, eyes downward as tears fell. I walked over to him and gripped his right shoulder, raised him up and embraced him. I told him that it was okay and that we loved him. I had chosen to believe that what had happened that night was bigger than any comments made by Willie. As it turned out, Tyler had been dealing with some very difficult issues that I would only learn about over the next several weeks. Did I think that he would strike me? I wasn't sure, and it didn't matter. I believed that he was only a step or two away from breaking, and I needed to prove to him that I'd be there to catch him when he fell. That night, he learned that his brothers in that group would be there for him too. Within 20 minutes, peace was restored. Tyler and Willie were pals, and every boy glowed with camaraderie. I earned the respect of those boys that night, and they earned mine. I'll never forget the courage they displayed by standing up to a foe much bigger than themselves. They were and are excellent young men, and I am lucky to have learned from them.